In 1821, the world map changed forever. The Mexican War for Independence ended. Agustín de Iturbide, originally a royalist officer, switched his loyalty to the Mexican rebels. He signed the Treaty of Córdoba with the last Spanish viceroy on August 24, 1821. 1 month later, Iturbide became Agustín I of the Mexican Empire. Just like that, 300 years of Spanish rule were over. The new country was massive, stretching from the jungles of Guatemala all the way up to the forests of southern Oregon. But this new giant was shaky on its feet. Spain refused to officially recognize Mexican independence and swore it'd be back to reclaim its former colony. This wasn't an empty threat. Spain still held Cuba, a powerful military base just a stone's throw away. But Spain wasn't the only problem. The newly independent Mexico was surrounded by hungry eyes. The ambitious United States was right next door, and the Russians built a fort near San Francisco, which was Mexican territory at the time. The challenges weren't just external. Inside its own vast borders, Mexico faced a fractured reality. For example, the many native populations had absolutely no interest in becoming Mexican. They had their own nations and identities, and they weren't about to give them up. To make matters worse, Mexico was broke. The Spanish stripped the treasury bare, leaving the new government with empty coffers and a mountain of debt. So, in December of 1821, the newly established Mexican Empire had a critical choice to make. Which was the most urgent crisis? The empty treasury, the threat from Spain, the differences within the government? In a move that would define its future, the government declared that its #1 priority was not money, but Texas. Losing Texas was simply unthinkable. It was the buffer zone, the front door to the rest of the nation. Right across the Sabine River was the United States, a country expanding at a dizzying pace. At that moment, Mexico had a grand total of 186 soldiers stationed in all of Texas. How could they possibly defend such a vast territory with a force that small? Meanwhile, across the border, the United States was in the grip of a white gold rush with cotton. The Industrial Revolution in Britain had created an insatiable appetite for it, and American planters were more than happy to satisfy it. Following the War of 1812 and the Napoleonic Wars, American cotton production exploded. New states like Alabama and Mississippi were carved out of the wilderness specifically for cotton cultivation. By 1820, the United States was the undisputed king of cotton, producing more than any other country in the world. Mexican officials worried about American expansion as settlers in cotton approached their borders. As a labor, intense crop slavery would accompany cotton. This would later become a point of contention for Mexico, but for now, the immediate fear was simpler. Americans threatened to spill over into Texas, hungry for its fertile soil to plant even more cotton. The cotton boom unexpectedly exploded American demand for horses. Deep South plantations needed thousands of animals to plow fields and transport goods. The older states were unable to satisfy that demand, but Texas had tens of thousands of them. This created a massive and often illegal trade network. American traders flocked to the border, offering guns, tools, and other manufactured goods. Both the Apache and Comanche became major players in this cross-border horse trade. They traded horses for firearms, which made them more powerful than ever. The Comanche, already masters of the southern plains, used these new weapons to solidify their dominance. The trading route they established became so well-traveled that it earned a name the Camino Comanche or the Comanche Trail. The demand from the American South was so high that it fueled a new wave of raiding. Comanche and Apache warriors swept across Texas and deep into Mexico, capturing every horse they could find to sell to the Americans. This created a vicious cycle. The American demand for horses fueled the very raids that were terrorizing Mexico's northern frontier. The new Mexican government was broke on demand and faced threats from global powers. Restless native nations and an expansionist United States, fueled by a seemingly limitless demand for cotton and horses. How then could such a situation be resolved?